It's just a one-day business trip, Sam. Nothing out of the ordinary. Anna's voice was calm, reassuring, as she zipped up her overnight bag. Sam stood in the doorway of their bedroom, watching her. His arms were crossed, but his mind wasn't at ease. There was something different this time. The way she moved, the way she avoided his eyes when he asked her about the trip, it gnawed at him. "I trust you, Anna," he said, his voice quieter than he intended. He wanted to believe his own words. For years, he'd never had a reason to doubt her. But lately, her behavior had changed. The late-night work meetings, unexplained absences, the abrupt end to conversations when her phone buzzed. It all painted a picture he didn't want to see. Anna turned and smiled, a soft smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She walked over to him, placing a hand on his chest, leaning in for a kiss. Sam kissed her back, but there was a coldness in the act that hadn't been there before. "I'll be back tomorrow night, okay?" she said, her voice light as she pulled away and slung her bag over her shoulder. Sam nodded, forcing a smile. "Yeah, sure. Have a good trip." His stomach churned. He watched her walk out the door, closing it softly behind her. The moment she was gone, the nagging thoughts that had been simmering erupted. He couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. His mind raced, replaying the last few months, the hush phone calls, the excuses about late nights at work. It had been building, little by little, until now it was impossible to ignore. Sam stood frozen in the hallway for a moment, staring at the door. What if I'm just being paranoid, he thought. He had no proof, just a gut feeling. But the feeling had grown too strong to ignore. He glanced at the clock. It was nearly 7 p.m. He knew where she said she was going, the hotel for her supposed business trip. But what if she wasn't going there at all? Before he could stop himself, Sam grabbed his jacket, shoved his phone in his pocket, and headed out the door. His hands trembled as he started the car, gripping the wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. His heart pounded in his chest, his mind a storm of conflicting emotions. He wanted to trust her, but he couldn't shake the gnawing doubt that she was hiding something. He trailed her at a distance, making sure to stay far enough back that she wouldn't notice. The city lights flickered as her car weaved through traffic, taking turns that didn't lead toward the hotel she'd mentioned. Sam's heart sank further with every block she passed. 20 minutes later, Anna pulled into the parking lot of a sleek, modern apartment building. Sam parked a few blocks away, his stomach twisting. What the hell was she doing here? He sat in the car for a moment, staring at the building. His mind raced with possibilities. Maybe she was meeting a friend? Maybe she was here for some work-related errand? But deep down, he knew those were just hopeful lies. He could feel the truth, creeping up on him like a shadow. He checked the time. She had been in there for nearly 10 minutes. He couldn't sit and wait any longer. His breath came in shallow bursts as he got out of the car. His legs felt heavy as he walked toward the building. Every step closer felt like he was crossing a line he could never return from, but he couldn't stop. He had to know. The building was quiet, save for the distant hum of city traffic. Sam slipped in through the entrance just as a resident was leaving, not giving them a second glance. The lobby was sleek and modern, all glass and chrome, but it felt cold, sterile. He took the stairs, his heart thudding in his chest. On the 4th floor, he hesitated, his hand hovering over the railing as he caught his breath. Do I really want to know? The question echoed in his mind. But he'd come this far. There was no turning back now. His shoes made soft thuds against the hallway floor as he approached apartment 503. His palms were sweaty, his pulse rapid. He stood outside the door, listening. There were no sounds, no voices, no music. Just the eerie silence of the corridor. Sam looked around, his mind battling with itself. He wanted to burst through the door, confront her, demand answers. But the logical part of him knew better. He had no proof yet, just suspicion. If he barged in, it would all blow up in his face. He had to be smart. He reached into his jacket pocket, pulling out his phone. With shaky hands, he opened a tracking app he had installed a few days ago, the one that would let him monitor her phone's location. He'd never used it until now, but he needed answers. The screen flickered to life, showing her exact location. Inside 503. Sam's jaw clenched. So she was here? But why? He moved back down the hallway, leaning against the wall where he could keep an eye on the door without being seen. His mind reeled with possibilities. Who was she meeting? Was it a man? How long had this been going on? He glanced at his watch. 3 hours had passed. His heart hammered in his chest as he considered what to do next. Should he wait longer? Confront her when she left? He didn't know if he could handle seeing the truth unfold in front of him. The door to 503 finally opened. Sam pressed himself against the wall, out of sight. His breath caught in his throat as he saw Anna step out, laughing softly. Her hair slightly tousled, her shirt wrinkled. Behind her was a big, tall man, well-dressed, with an easy smile. He placed a hand on the small of her back, guiding her out of the apartment. Sam's world shattered in that instant. He didn't confront her. He didn't move. He just watched, his entire body frozen as his wife and the man disappeared down the hallway. His mind was blank, yet screaming at the same time. He knew, in that moment, nothing would ever be the same again. Sam stared at the ceiling all night, unable to quiet the storm raging in his mind. His thoughts kept returning to the image of Anna and that man in the hallway, the casual way they walked together. He replayed the scene over and over, each time feeling a sharper stab of betrayal. She hadn't even looked guilty. She'd looked comfortable, like this was part of her routine. He had to know more. What was really going on in that apartment? Why had she lied to him so easily? When morning finally came, Sam didn't bother going to work. He called in sick, his voice sounding hollow as he made up a lie about food poisoning. His boss bought it without question. Sam had been reliable for years, never one to take unnecessary time off. Today, though, his life was unraveling. After the call, he grabbed his jacket and keys. There was no hesitation in his movements. He knew what he had to do, get into that apartment. If Anna wasn't going to tell him the truth, he'd find it himself. The drive back to the apartment building was a blur. His mind raced as he mentally rehearsed his plan. He'd purchased a small tracking device the night before, something he could slip into her car without her noticing. He'd also pulled a few strings with a locksmith friend to get a spare key. It hadn't been hard to convince the guy. Sam had simply said he was locked out of his wife's place and proved it. No one suspected anything. When he arrived, the building looked just as it had the night before, calm, quiet, completely ordinary. It stood in stark contrast to the chaos in his head. He parked his car down the street again, the same way he had the previous night, and walked towards the entrance. With a quick glance around, he slipped inside and headed for the stairs. The air felt thick, and every step he took seemed to echo loudly in the empty stairwell. His heart raced as he climbed to the 4th floor, the key in his pocket feeling heavier with every step. When he reached the door of apartment 503, Sam stood still for a moment, staring at the number. His hands trembled slightly as he reached into his pocket and pulled out the key. There was no turning back now. He slid the key into the lock, his breath shallow, and turned it. The door clicked open. The moment he stepped inside, Sam was hit by a wall of smells, sweat, alcohol, and something far more foul, something that made his stomach turn. He instinctively covered his nose and stepped further into the dimly lit room, his heart thudding in his chest. The place was a mess. Clothes were scattered across the floor, bottles of alcohol tipped over on the coffee table. He moved deeper into the apartment, passing the small kitchen and heading straight for the bedroom. He felt an invisible weight pulling him toward whatever truth lay ahead. As he entered the bedroom, his foot hit something metallic, and there was a faint clinking sound. He looked down and saw a pair of handcuffs attached to the bedpost. His heart sank. A closer look revealed several more sets of handcuffs, all hanging from various corners of the bed. He swallowed hard, trying to steady himself as he glanced around the room. The floor was littered with things he never imagined he'd find in his wife's life. Toys of all shapes and sizes, lingerie in colors and fabrics he'd never seen her wear at home. He felt nauseous. The bed itself was soaked, the sheets crumpled and stained with fluids that gave off a stench so strong it nearly brought him to his knees. A camera sat on a tripod at the foot of the bed, its lens pointed directly at the center. His stomach twisted as he realized what it had been used for. Sam took a step forward, unable to stop himself from examining the scene further. As he moved closer to the bed, he nearly tripped over a stack of DVDs. He knelt down, staring at the labels, 7 inches, 9 inches, 12 inches. His eyes locked onto one that made his breath catch in his throat. 18 inches. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. His hands shook as he picked up the DVD, holding it in disbelief. Every rational part of him screamed to put it down, to leave this place and never return. But he couldn't. He had to see it for himself. With trembling fingers, he inserted the disc into the small player hooked up to the TV in the corner of the room. The screen flickered to life, and Sam's world came crashing down. The video began innocuously enough, a shot of the bed, dimly lit, the camera shaking slightly as someone adjusted it. But then Anna appeared on the screen. Sam's chest tightened. There she was, his wife, standing in front of the camera, smiling in a way that was all too familiar. But this wasn't the Anna he knew. The scene escalated quickly, the graphic acts unfolding before his eyes. Sam's skin crawled as he watched, but what hurt him the most wasn't the physicality of what she was doing. It was her face. The look on Anna's face was one of pure exhilaration, as though she was reveling in every moment of it. There was no shame, no hesitation, just unbridled joy. She wasn't just part of it. She was the star of the show. The acts became more intense, the sounds on the video mixing with the nauseating smells in the room, creating a cocktail of disgust that overwhelmed him. His heart pounded in his chest as he watched in disbelief. His body felt cold, like he was drifting outside of himself, unable to comprehend what was happening. He stumbled back from the TV, his breath shallow, his legs unsteady. His entire world was shattering in real time, and there was no escape. The room spun as he tried to make sense of it all. The lies, the deception, the betrayal. It was more than he could handle. As the final moments of the video played, Sam lurched toward the bathroom, barely making it to the sink before he vomited. His body trembled as he gripped the sides of the sink, gasping for air. The images were burned into his mind, and he couldn't get rid of them. He turned off the TV and slumped against the wall, his eyes unfocused, staring at nothing. Everything he thought he knew about his wife, his marriage, his life was a lie. Anna had destroyed him. For days, Sam walked through life like a shadow, his thoughts consuming him. He went to work, made small talk with colleagues, even shared meals with Anna as if nothing had changed. On the surface, everything appeared normal. But beneath the calm exterior, Sam's mind was a cauldron of rage, betrayal, and cold calculation. Anna had no idea he'd discovered her secret. Every time she kissed him goodbye or texted him an innocuous update, he seethed, knowing what lay beneath her lies. The memory of that apartment, the videos, the smells, it played on a loop in his head. 30 lovers. 30 fucking lovers in 3 years, he muttered under his breath, staring blankly at his computer screen at work. The audacity of it all burned him inside. And she thought I wouldn't find out. But it wasn't just the number that gnawed at him. It was the calculated nature of her betrayal. The secret apartment, the handcuffs, the meticulous labels on the DVDs. It was like Anna had crafted an entire second life, and Sam had been nothing more than a fool, playing the part of the oblivious husband. The more he thought about it, the more his anger turned into something darker. Confronting her outright would be too easy, too merciful. No, Sam didn't want an argument, didn't want to fight. He wanted to break her. Slowly. He wanted her to feel the weight of her actions, to have her world crumble in the same way his had. He wanted her to lose everything, her reputation, her comfort, her sense of control. The plan started forming the night he got back from the apartment. Sitting alone in their living room, surrounded by the remnants of their life together, Sam began piecing it together. If Anna had spent 3 years hiding her affairs, then his revenge needed to be just as calculated. The first step was to gather everything, every shred of evidence. He started by going back through the apartment, making sure he hadn't missed anything. He copied all the DVDs onto his computer, uploading the videos to a private, encrypted drive. Each video was cataloged, labeled with dates and names. Sam studied the footage, forcing himself to watch it again and again, until he knew the faces of her lovers as well as his own. Every message on her phone, every suspicious email or photo she'd sent, Sam archived it all. He learned about her secret life in a way that felt sickeningly intimate. Who were these men? How did she meet them? What did she tell them about him? One night, after Anna had fallen asleep, Sam retrieved her phone from the nightstand. His heart raced as he scrolled through her messages, searching for any clues that could lead him deeper. She had multiple messaging apps, one Sam hadn't even known she used. In them, he found the ongoing conversations with her lovers, some casual, some filled with explicit details of their encounters. How could she do this? He whispered to himself, fingers trembling as he continued to search. But the more he found, the more his anger shifted into a sense of purpose. Every new detail was ammunition. Every name and face was a target. Within days, Sam had a complete digital dossier on Anna's affairs. He had their names, addresses, social media profiles, and places of employment. There were CEOs, middle managers, married men. Her affairs crossed all social boundaries. It was clear that Anna wasn't just reckless. She was playing a dangerous game with men who had just as much to lose as she did. Sam knew this information would be his weapon, but he wasn't in a rush. He took his time, crafting the perfect plan. First, he created anonymous profiles, setting up fake email accounts and social media profiles. From these accounts, he sent cryptic messages to a few of her lovers, hinting that someone knew about their affairs. The messages were vague enough to make them paranoid, but not explicit enough to reveal Sam's hand. He watched as they scrambled, replying with panic-laden responses, begging for more information. "What do you want? Who are you? Please, we can handle this discreetly," one of them replied late one night. Sam smirked at the screen, feeling the first hint of satisfaction he'd had in days. He didn't respond. The next phase of the plan involved Anna herself. Sam couldn't just expose her directly. That would be too easy and too final. No, he needed to make her unravel. One morning, while Anna was at work, Sam logged into her laptop and installed tracking software. Every keystroke, every email, every message she sent, he could now see in real time. He watched as she texted her lovers, her words sickeningly casual. He noted every meeting she arranged, every lie she told him about where she'd be. Each night, Sam carefully documented everything, making sure his plan was as meticulous as Anna's betrayals. He began planting subtle seeds of doubt in her life. A missing phone charger here, a misplaced document there, small things that would make her feel like she was losing control. He made sure to ask innocent-sounding questions when she least expected them. "Did you go out for lunch today? I saw your car parked near downtown," he'd say casually as they sat at dinner. Anna's eyes would flicker for a split second, a brief moment of uncertainty before she smiled and waved it off. "Oh, just a quick meeting. Nothing important." But Sam knew it was important. He knew exactly who she'd met and where. The final phase of Sam's plan would take time, but he was patient. He began preparing for the day when he would blow everything wide open. His goal wasn't just to expose Anna. It was to humiliate her, to destroy her standing among her peers, friends, and lovers. He envisioned her reputation crumbling, her double life exposed to the world, leaving her with nothing but shame and regret. For now, though, he bided his time. Anna continued her life as if nothing was wrong, while Sam moved silently, orchestrating her downfall piece by piece. Every step he took was calculated, every move designed to make sure she suffered as much as he had, if not more. Sam would wait for the perfect moment to strike, but when he did, he would make sure Anna's world came crashing down, just as she had shattered his. The plan went into motion without a hitch. Sam had waited, bided his time, and now the trap was springing shut. The first move was delicate, a subtle nudge that would begin to unravel Anna's professional life. He drafted the anonymous email carefully, ensuring it was vague enough to avoid immediate suspicion, but clear enough to plant doubt. "To whom it may concern, it has come to my attention that Anna from marketing has been engaging in personal, explicit activities during company hours. This has been going on for quite some time, and I believe it is in the company's best interest to investigate." Sam hit send and leaned back in his chair, feeling a rush of grim satisfaction. He knew Anna's company took its reputation seriously, and he counted on them not wanting any scandal. It wouldn't take much for rumors to begin swirling. 2 days later, Anna came home looking visibly stressed. She threw her bag on the couch and poured herself a drink. "Rough day?" Sam asked, his voice laced with casual concern as he pretended to glance up from his laptop. "Yeah, just some office drama. Apparently, someone sent an anonymous email to HR about me." Anna took a long sip, her shoulders tense. "Something about inappropriate use of company time. It's ridiculous. I don't even know where it came from." Sam nodded sympathetically, suppressing a smirk. "People can be so petty. I'm sure it'll blow over." He watched her carefully, seeing the first cracks in her confident demeanor. The second phase of his plan required more precision. Sam took copies of the DVDs, each one labeled with damning titles, and carefully packaged them in plain brown envelopes. Inside, he included a single, cutting word on a note card: "Slut." He sent these packages to her closest friends, women she often bragged about her professional success to, people she considered her inner circle. One by one, they received the packages. The reactions were exactly as Sam anticipated. Anna's phone began lighting up with calls and messages from confused and horrified friends. "Anna, what the hell is this?" screamed a voicemail from one of her best friends, Selena. "Is this some kind of sick joke?" Another message was more direct. "You need help. What's wrong with you?" Sam watched as Anna frantically tried to contain the damage, calling each of them back, denying everything, insisting it was some sort of mistake or a malicious prank. But Sam knew the seed of doubt had already been planted. Her friends would never look at her the same again. Next, Sam hacked into Anna's work email. He'd learned enough about her habits to guess her passwords, and after a few failed attempts, he was in. He combed through her inbox, finding the usual mundane correspondence, until he struck gold. Hidden in a folder labeled Personal, he found the pictures. Explicit, graphic, and undeniably incriminating. Sam crafted the email carefully. He attached several of the photos and addressed the message to the entire department. His hands were steady as he typed out the subject line. "To all staff, a matter of professional conduct." The email itself was simple. "I think it's important that everyone knows what kind of person Anna really is. Please see the attached images. She's been hiding her extracurricular activities for years, but it's time the truth came out." With a single click, the email was sent. Sam leaned back and waited. The fallout was immediate. Anna's phone buzzed nonstop. She ignored the first few calls, too caught up in her own attempts to put out fires with her friends, but soon she couldn't avoid it. "What the hell is going on at work?" she muttered, scrolling through her messages. Her face went pale as she read the frantic texts from coworkers, the shocked responses, the demands for explanations. She bolted to the bedroom, grabbing her laptop. Sam sat in the living room, pretending to watch TV, but he could hear the panic in her voice as she frantically tried to explain herself in emails, calls, and messages. "This is a violation of my privacy," she shouted into the phone at one point, her voice cracking. "Someone hacked my account, I swear." But Sam knew better. The damage was done. Her credibility at work was shattered. Her professional reputation, carefully built over years, was crumbling around her. A few days later, she was called into HR for an emergency meeting. Sam waited anxiously for her to return home that evening, curious to see how she would react. When she walked in, her face was ashen. She dropped her purse on the floor, sinking into the couch. Sam, feigning concern, asked, "What happened?" "They put me on probation," she whispered, her voice hollow. "I might lose my job." Sam put a hand on her shoulder, offering a sympathetic squeeze. "I'm sure you can fight this. They'll see it's all a misunderstanding." But inside, he reveled in her misery. This was only the beginning. The final part of Sam's plan was the most personal. He'd spent weeks gathering information on Anna's lovers, where they lived, their spouses' names, details about their families. He sent anonymous letters to each of the spouses, complete with copies of the videos and photos of their partners with Anna. Within days, the chaos began. Anna's phone rang off the hook as furious spouses called, demanding explanations. Marriages were falling apart, and some of her lovers even came to her apartment, shouting accusations and threats. One evening, Sam watched from the window as a man stormed up to their front door, his face red with rage. "You ruined my life, you fucking whore," the man screamed, pounding on the door as Anna cowered inside. Sam didn't intervene. He simply listened, waiting for the man to leave before stepping out of the bedroom. "What's going on?" he asked, playing dumb as he saw Anna sobbing on the couch. She looked up at him with tear-streaked eyes. "I don't know. I don't know what's happening. My whole life is falling apart." Sam knelt beside her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "It's going to be okay," he whispered. But inside, he felt nothing but satisfaction. Her world was crumbling, just as he had planned. The final straw came a week later. Anna received a call from her boss. She was terminated. Her once thriving career was over, her reputation ruined. And she still had no idea Sam was behind it all. Sam watched her break down, sobbing uncontrollably in their living room. Her life, once so meticulously controlled, was in ruins. And Sam? He was just getting started. It was late. The house was cloaked in a heavy silence that felt as thick as the tension hanging in the air. Sam sat at the dining table, staring at the untouched glass of whiskey in front of him, waiting. He had been waiting for this moment for weeks, rehearsing what he would say, how he would react. His mind ran over the details of the plan, of everything he had set into motion. The cracks had widened, and now the final blow was about to land. Anna walked in, her face pale and drawn. She moved slowly, her body trembling as if the weight of her world crashing down had physically drained her. Her clothes were wrinkled, and her eyes were swollen from crying. Sam barely recognized the woman standing before him. This wasn't the Anna he had married. This was the ghost of someone who had played with fire and gotten burned. "Sam!" Anna's voice broke as she called his name. She was barely able to speak. Her eyes darted around the room before settling on him, pleading for something, understanding, comfort, perhaps even forgiveness. "I don't know what's happening. Someone's targeting me. They've ruined my life. Please, please help me." Sam looked at her, his face cold and emotionless. He had thought this moment would bring him joy, that seeing her unravel would give him the satisfaction he craved. But all he felt was emptiness. The years of love, trust, and shared memories seemed like a distant, bitter dream. "Help you." Sam's voice was low, barely more than a whisper. He swirled the whiskey in his glass, watching the liquid move in slow circles. "Why don't you ask your 30 lovers for help?" The words landed like a bomb. Anna froze, her face going pale. Her mouth opened as if to speak, but no sound came out. She stood there, rooted to the spot, her eyes wide in disbelief. What do you mean?" she stammered, her voice trembling. There was a desperation in her tone, a hope that somehow this wasn't real. Sam laughed, a cold, mirthless sound that echoed in the silent room. He stood up slowly, towering over her, his eyes burning with rage he had kept bottled for too long. "I know, Anna," he said, his voice growing louder with each word. "I know everything. The secret apartment. The men. The videos. All of it. You think I didn't notice you sneaking around? You think I didn't see you with those men, with those fucking toys and handcuffs?" Anna gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Tears welled up in her eyes as she took a step back, her body shaking with each breath. She looked like she had been slapped, her mind racing to understand how Sam could know. "It's not what you think," she whispered, but her voice was weak, fragile. She collapsed to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. "Please, please, I never meant for this to happen. I didn't want to hurt you. It wasn't supposed to be like this." Sam stood over her, his expression unchanging, arms folded across his chest. There was no pity in his eyes, no empathy. He had been waiting for this, waiting for her to break, to crumble at his feet just as she had shattered his world. "Not what I think," Sam scoffed, his voice filled with venom. "You've been screwing other men, 30 fucking men, behind my back for years. You made videos with them, you let them into that apartment, and you did it all while pretending to be my wife." He shook his head. "You didn't just hurt me, Anna. You destroyed me." Anna was a mess of sobs now, her words barely coherent. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I did it. I love you. Please, Sam, please don't leave me. I'll do anything. I'll stop." "Stop?" Sam interrupted, his voice rising with fury. "Stop? It's too late for that, Anna. You think I didn't know what you were doing? You think I was just going to sit back and let it happen? No." He leaned closer, his voice now a deadly whisper. I've already destroyed you. Anna's head snapped up, her tear-streaked face filled with confusion and fear. What do you mean? Sam's face twisted into a grim smile. You've lost everything, Anna. Your friends, your job, your reputation. It's all gone. Those videos? Those emails? I made sure everyone saw them. Her eyes widened in horror. No, you didn't. Oh, I did. Sam's voice was ice. Your boss? Your coworkers? They all know now. Your friends? They've seen what you've been doing behind closed doors. And your precious lovers? Their wives and families know too. You're finished. Anna shook her head violently, her hands clutching at her hair as if she could physically stop the nightmare from being real. No, please. How could you do this to me? Sam stepped back, disgust flashing across his face. How could I? How could you, Anna? You made me believe we had something real, something worth fighting for. And all this time, you were using me, lying to me. You didn't just betray me. You spat on everything we built together. She reached out, grabbing his leg, as if he were her only lifeline. Please, Sam, I'll do anything. I'll fix this. I'll make it right. Just don't leave me. He looked down at her, her pathetic figure clinging to him. The woman who had once been his entire world now reduced to this. And in that moment, he felt nothing but contempt. You can't fix this, Sam said coldly. There's no going back. You're already ruined. And as for me, I'm done. He wrenched his leg from her grasp and stepped away. Anna collapsed completely, her body racked with sobs. Sam turned toward the door, grabbing his coat and keys without looking back. As he reached the door, he paused, his hand resting on the handle. You should have thought about the consequences before you threw away everything, he said quietly, his back still to her. Now, you'll have to live with them. Sam was halfway through the door, the sound of Anna's sobs fading behind him, when something in her voice, barely more than a whisper, stopped him cold. It wasn't just me, Sam. The words hung in the air, chilling, like the first drop of rain before a storm. Sam's hand froze on the door handle. His jaw tightened, and he slowly turned to face her. Anna, still crumpled on the floor, wiped her tear-streaked face and looked up at him with a strange mixture of despair and something else, something darker. What did you just say? Sam's voice was low, but there was an edge to it, a razor-sharp edge of disbelief and anger. Anna's lip trembled, her breathing ragged. She seemed to hesitate for a moment, then steeled herself. You think you're the only one who can destroy lives? She said, her voice barely audible. You need to know the truth. You were part of it, Sam. Sam felt a flash of confusion, but anger quickly replaced it. What the hell are you talking about, Anna? He snapped, stepping closer, towering over her like a predator circling its prey. His blood pounded in his ears. Anna tried to stand, but wobbled on her legs, clutching onto the edge of the couch for support. She looked up at him with a mixture of fear and sick satisfaction. Some of those videos, they weren't just me. You were there too. You were drugged, Sam. Time seemed to slow as Sam stared at her, trying to process her words. Drugged? Him? His brain rejected the idea outright. He clenched his fists, rage bubbling just beneath the surface. You're lying, he growled, his voice harsh. I would never, but she cut him off. You don't remember, do you? Anna's voice cracked as she spoke, her words punctuated by deep, broken breaths. We filmed you too, Sam. You were part of it. The cameras caught everything. Sam's heart stopped. His stomach churned as memories began to swim up, murky and disjointed. Those nights when he had come home, so exhausted that he could barely stay awake. The wine Anna had poured him, the way his body had felt heavy, sluggish. He had always dismissed it as stress from work, the wear and tear of life, never considering that something more sinister could have been happening. No, you're lying, he repeated, but his voice lacked the certainty it had moments before. His hands shook, his breath quickening as he took a step back from her. Anna's eyes filled with a twisted triumph. You want to destroy me, Sam? Go ahead, but you'll destroy yourself in the process. She stumbled toward the pile of DVDs on the floor, her hand trembling as she picked one up. The label, 18 inches, was scrawled across it in bold marker. Anna held it out toward him, This one, she said, her voice dropping to a whisper. Watch it. Sam recoiled, as if the DVD were a venomous snake. His mind raced, denial clashing with the terrifying possibility that Anna was telling the truth. He snatched the DVD from her hand, his pulse pounding in his head. Without a word, he stormed over to the TV, fumbling as he shoved the disc into the player. The screen flickered to life, casting a sickly glow across the room. Sam's heart raced as the familiar scene unfolded. The same apartment, the same bed. Anna was there, as he had seen before, but then the camera angle shifted, and his breath caught in his throat. It was him, Sam. He was there, lying on the bed, motionless, his eyes half-lidded and vacant. His body moved sluggishly, responding to commands he couldn't possibly understand. The scene played out in horrifying detail. Anna and another man, taking turns, laughing, using him like a lifeless puppet. Sam felt ball rise in his throat as he stumbled backward, knocking over a chair. His knees buckled, and he fell to the ground, gasping for air. His vision blurred, but the sound of the video continued to play, echoing in his mind. He had been a part of this nightmare all along, unknowingly dragged into it, manipulated by the woman he thought he had once loved. You, Sam choked out, his voice barely above a whisper. He turned to look at Anna, who was standing a few feet away, her arms wrapped around herself like a shield. You ruined yourself, Anna whispered, her voice trembling, but a sick smirk tugged at the corners of her mouth. You thought you had power over me, but you never did. We filmed you. We filmed everything. If this gets out, you'll be finished. Sam's world collapsed around him. All the anger, the revenge, the meticulous plan, it had all come crashing down in the most horrific way imaginable. The DVDs, the emails, the revenge on her lovers. None of it mattered now. He had destroyed Anna's life, but in doing so, he had unwittingly set himself on fire. Sam staggered to his feet, his body trembling, his mind spiraling into a dark abyss of disbelief and terror. He glanced at the TV one last time. His own image burned into his mind. Why did you do this? He asked, his voice weak, barely audible. Anna's eyes met his, her tears mingling with a twisted sense of victory. Because you didn't see me, Sam. You stopped seeing me years ago. And now, we're both monsters. Sam backed toward the door, his mind racing, his heart pounding out of control. There was no coming back from this. He had thought he was taking control, exacting his revenge, but in reality, he had played right into her hands. Without another word, he turned and fled from the house, the door slamming behind him. The weight of the truth crashed down on him like a wave, drowning him in the horror of what he had become. There was no escape now. Not for him. Not for Anna.